Hey, what's going on, guys? Poison Rain here, and welcome to another video. This is a part 2 of a three-part series to make sure that I cover all of the basics, and then I may go into more advanced things later. But I will start with the very simplest of Stickystone contraptions, and that is extensions. There is 3 types. There's a pulling extension, a pushing extension, and a retraction extension. A retraction extension goes off of 1 redstone tick from a redstone block being moved from a sticky piston. It then takes 1 redstone tick to detect that it has lost power, and that in that redstone tick, this redstone block gets pulled all the way back. Then this sticky piston here will retract. The next is a pushing extension, which results in a 2 redstone tick delay. The first one is this observer powering this block, and the second one is this piston pushing the block. So the pulling extension is a 4 tick delay. The first one is the observer here realizes it has been moved, then it powers this block, then it extends the sticky piston, then the sticky piston retracts. Next up is a basically a retract extension, but chained out in a very simple way. This is a delay chain or a timer. Depending on how many you have, depends on how long it takes for it to complete the action. And as you see, 2 takes way longer than 4, or way shorter. Of course, it doesn't take way longer. It takes way shorter of a time than 4. Next up is redstone wire for Stickystone, and that is with the activator and powered rails. The activator rails and the powered rails do not mix redstone signal. So you can see with the observers here, detecting the rails here getting powered, it will power the rails behind it, acting as a redstone repeater, allowing the current to go across to this observer here, which will then detect it and move along the chain until it reaches its final destination, which in this case is a piston. It also can go upwards if you know how to manipulate them properly, and they can go upwards as well. So if I were to press it again, you can see the observer up there detected it and fired as well. And this is true for powered rails and activator rails. Over here, I have a monostable circuit for a mechanical to redstone current timings, or mechanical timings to redstone timings. So if you're using sticky pistons and pistons for timings, and then you want it to then transfer to a redstone signal with observers instead of pistons and slime blocks, then you would use this here, which is an observer facing power into the sticky piston, which is attached to 2 blocks. The reason why there are 2 blocks is because this here, remember, it gets hard powered. So the observer, when it gets pushed out, it'll fire, but there's nothing behind it, then it'll get pulled back in, and then fire again, powering this here, which will then activate this observer, which can detect that this has been powered, and then this observer will detect that this has detected something, and then power itself and keep going down the line. Or if this is indeed for a redstone contraption, you can just stop here and put redstone dust here. Over here is a T flip-flop. This is specifically designed for flying machines. and it is very complex in its nature. In order to get a piston, or in order to have block dropping in Bedrock Edition, we can't simply just one tick a piston, of course. So in order to do that, we have to double pulse an observer into a sticky piston, which is facing into slime blocks that have an observer and a piston. The observer here, when it gets pushed out, will fire, the piston will push up, and remember, the extended pistons are immovable. So since this piston here can't pull it back, let me activate it so you can see it better. So since with this powered, the sticky piston can't pull it back, and it has been double pulsed, meaning that this sticky piston will stay out longer than just one redstone tick. This here has enough time to fire reliably, meaning that this observer here can actually power this piston in time to activate it before this sticky piston tries to retract. And then when this sticky piston retracts, then this piston here will retract. And then on the retract, well, the sticky piston reaches out, grabs it, and pulls it back. And this redstone block here is to power anything that is supposed to be toggled by the T flip-flop. And I'll just show it without any explanation so you can see it in action. So next is the timing chain. I've already done a basics of timing chains, but for those of you who haven't seen it, in essence, these timing chains here are meant for modular machines, meaning like they'll have little pushing extensions on the front. They'll be meant for pushing the same thing over and over again. Of course, I'm building something that doesn't do anything, it's just supposed to be for an example. But it works with chaining action. This section here gets pulled back, then this sticky piston fires, pulling this back, which then fires this sticky piston, which will pull back the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And then here is another variant. There are hundreds of different ways to make these things. I've just given my favorite ones here for use. I'm going to push it off again so you can see. It does push off modularly. And because this is just a setup for a demonstration, I didn't really make sure that it wouldn't mess up like this, but I mean, at least it's just for a demonstration. Then down here, this one works differently. It's got a retract and a pushing extension. And because it's got a retract extension, it makes this a 3-tick chain, or a 3-tick pushing extension. The first one, this observer realizes it has been moved. The second one, it powers this. The third one, it pushes. So let's see it in action. Next up is the 2-directional chaining. This one here, I do not know another way of setting this up to be faster or slower. So this is what we've got. It has how it works is this redstone block here is attached to this structure here. And so when this gets pushed forward, since this sticky piston here is non-movable, it will retract this. And when it retracts, this here will get pushed by this piston here, pushing it forward. The power, of course, coming from these redstone blocks. And with the observer, instead of the redstone blocks powering it, the observer will detect that it's been moved and will fire these pistons off instead. So I'll push it off from this side first. And then I'll push it off from this side just so you can see that it does indeed fire from both directions. So this next one here is not only is it two-directional, but it is also two-way, meaning that it can start on this end and go to this end, and then start on this end and go to this end. But it also can move this way and this way. How it does it is it's the same principle as over here, except it's got a sticky piston on this side, retracting this structure back here. So if it gets pushed this way, the sticky piston here is blocked by this structure here and can't retract it. But this here is not blocked, so it does get retracted, and it'll push this next one, which will do the same thing until it reaches this side here. And I'll demonstrate that now. And then, of course, once it has finished, the sticky piston will extend, pushing this structure out. And then, of course, it is the opposite when going back. So I'll push this way, where these here are blocked by this, and so this sticky piston can't retract. This one here can. It'll pull this, push this, then extend this sticky piston here to push this structure out again. And then, of course, it's just the opposite motion, where it goes this way instead of this way when it's on this side. So put a redstone block here. It'll get pushed over, and then if you push it this way, it just goes back. And now the most confusing one of this whole section here, and that is the instant wire. I put that in quotes. I even did it in real life. Instant. I'm doing it again. But the reason why it's in heavy quotes, bold them, italicize them, bold them again, I don't know, impact font. The reason why is because it can be instant. Not in that one, because this got pushed forward, then the rest of it went. Or it can be in that sense, where it is instant, and it went all the way down the line without a redstone or game tick occurring in between each chain being pushed. Let's see if I can't get it to go awfully wrong. Yep, there it goes. There was 3 different movements. There was this one, then this one, and then these 2. The reason why it isn't instant is because chunk borders break this, and screw chunk borders. That's going to be my 3-year-old. I don't care enough to explain something I don't have enough knowledge on to give a proper explanation for. So I'm just going to sound like I know what I'm talking about when I just know that chunk borders break it. But anyways, yeah, this is the end of this video. If you liked it or found it helpful, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel and you like this kind of thing, Stickystone, Redstone, and farms, I do those occasionally, but if you like that kind of thing, then hit subscribe. If you want to keep up with that kind of stuff, then hit the notification bell. And if you also want to see part 3, hit the notification bell as well. If you have any questions about this video or any of my videos, or you just want to talk about Bedrock, technical Bedrock stuff, then join the Discord. Link is in the description. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have a nice day.